Welcome to episode 3 of The Exhibit, hosted by yours truly, Josina Anderson, and presented by Body Armor. Now today, and I always say this, but it's true, we have another very special guest. And it's not an athlete, it's not a coach, it's not a GM. On this show, I told you we are going to have a variety of luminaries to be able to show the diversity of the things not only I want to talk about, but the diversity of things happening in the world, from sports to arts and also entertainment. And with that being said, we have Method Man in the building. And let me tell you, I just want to say this real quick before I officially bring him in. I not only have respect for him as an icon in the hip-hop space, but I also have respect for him as a person that treats even people he does not know very well, very good. And that includes even me and how we met, and you're going to even hear about all of that. So without further delay, welcome in the icon himself, Method Man. The Exhibit is brought to you by Body Armor Sports Drink. Real hydration, real ingredients, packed with electrolytes, vitamins, and nothing artificial. Body Armor Sports Drink has great tasting flavors like strawberry banana and orange mango. Get yours today at Walmart, Amazon, or a local grocery store near you. Please welcome rapper, producer, actor, businessman, member of the iconic Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man and Redman duo, master MC, master of unique cadences as dubbed by Rolling Stone, Grammy Award winner for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group. You're all I need with the Queen of Hip Hop Soul, Mary J. Blige. You've seen him in Belly, Brown Sugar, Keanu, Shaft, Peppermint, Oz, The Wire, Godfather of Harlem, Power Book 2, Ghost. He is a husband and a father, not to forget one of his biggest accolades. My hairdresser says she's your biggest fan, Sophia. And of course, Jets fan numero uno, hailing from Hempstead, New York. Method Man is in the building.
I thought I heard a hater say what?
What?
Hey, what's happening?
Got the raspy, iconic voice. Okay,
You
on the
already know.
Exhibit, hosted by yours truly, Josina Anderson. Now, first of all, I just want to even start and let the people know how we met, because I think that's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
You were at the Jets' first game where Aaron Rodgers was playing. You had done this nice little kind of
infamous
pre-roll
game, yes.
documentary. The scene was set.
Yes, it
Everybody was hyped for Aaron
Right.
Rodgers. You and I met before that, and then
She
all
was immaculately dressed, by the way.
I was trying.
She
you know,
She stayed putting it
I
on.
put my fashion. I got a little Dolce & Gabbana armor, but don't worry about
Stay
that. Don't worry
putting
about
it
that.
on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how we met.
Yes, we
and,
did.
And let me tell you, he was as humble, as engaging, as just approachable as he seems right now. So first
Yes,
of all, I
Lord.
appreciate that.
Absolutely, sis.
But you know, we're going to get to your Jets. Okay? We are going to get to your Jets because they are 4-10. And the last time they went to the playoffs was 2010 when they
Yeah.
went to the conference championship
Sexy
led
Rexy.
by Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, why do your Jets continue to fall short?
Oh my goodness. I could say it's a bunch of unfortunate events that are happening, but no. I think a lot of it has to do with health-wise, of course. We took a big blow last year when Aaron got hurt, because we had a whole plan around that man. As well as I don't think it's a locker room issue. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I think it's a higher-up issue. I think they're having issues.
How high up, Method?
I would say from the owner down. Okay. I personally have no arguments with a rebuild if that's what the Jets want to do. I don't think any of us fans have a problem with that. We're going to lose some great players, but if it makes it better in the end, we're all for it. With that being said, the team stinks right now. They're not gelling. And, I mean, getting rid of Saleh, I have no opinion on that whatsoever.
Oh, because I was going to get to that too, but go ahead.
I don't know what head coaches go through or how they go about their day, but they are not the sole ones to blame for a team's progress or lack thereof. Even our GM, that we had up there.
Joe Douglas.
I'm not going to take anything away from Joe because Joe, I mean, he got us Sauce, he got us Brees, you know, Garrett, a few great players.
Quentin Williams.
Yeah, but then you but then you have to take into account that we also got Zach, and I'm not taking anything away from Zach because we had promise for the young man. I don't think he was actually ready for the role that he was given. I don't think any rookie quarterback is honestly ready, with the exception of Bo Nix. He's been like playing football forever before he even got in the league.
But you know what? Sometimes it's not even about readiness, you know. And I know New York fans, you know, I'm always talking about this. It's not always just readiness, but for me, the issue that was with Zach Wilson is that I personally felt like his confidence was manic, and it was dependent upon circumstances. Like, it had to be, okay, you know, I'm coming in as a superhero, or it's me against the world, people talking about me. It's dependent on something where people like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, they are confident no matter what. They have that Mamba gene no matter what. So, you know, if you're down by 50 points, they're still out there thugging it. They're trying to fight.
Yes.
And that is something that you're born with. I feel like as an athlete, you can pick up on if someone has that alpha gene. So I can tell if someone has that alpha gene or not.
What do you think, Zach has it?
I felt like he didn't. And I felt like it was evident in a Thursday night game that they had against the Jaguars. And he was just a deer in headlights.
Right.
And I know I've made this talking point multiple times. But I felt like I knew from that game that he didn't have it. And it's actually the same thing that I attribute to Carson Wentz. And it can be hard to detect because they look good, they coming from behind, they have this like hero gene.
Right.
But if you have that discernment, you can really see that it's not DNA confidence. It's like, in my opinion, it's like dependent upon how the circumstance is during the game. If they're behind, it's easy to flow when it's like low expectations, and now I can perform because now it's not as expected. Does that make sense?
That does make that makes perfect sense right there. But then we have this GOAT, Aaron Rodgers. All right, I mean, seriously, and people expected Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay. I don't know why they would expect that. I was expecting him to come in with that leadership role, you know, settle the guys down, especially in times where we could be behind and it's not a lot of time on the clock, but we got Aaron Rodgers and we got Devontae Adams, not to mention Garrett, Brees, and all these pieces. And I just wanted him to be that centerpiece that settles everyone, that cool, calm, collected character. And have we gotten that? I think we've gotten that sometimes. I mean, you can look that way if you want.
I'm just trying to see what you were going to say.
We've gotten that at points, but then it's like I've seen the whole ship start to go down and during games, and it's kind of, and no disrespect to Aaron, but it kind of seems like everyone checks out.
Detached.
Yeah.
And it's not there for 4 quarters.
And I can't blame them because, I mean, honestly, when you're looking at a 4 whatever their record is now.
4-10.
4-10. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, well, you know, I know a little bit something.
A 4-10 record now. You got to start pointing. I mean, people are going to start pointing fingers. People are going to start being held accountable, but some players need to hold themselves accountable, as well as some of the guys in the top office.
Okay, so I'm going to get to a couple things. First, I'm going to ask you very directly, do you want Aaron Rodgers back?
I would like to have him back, but I would, like I said,
Wait,
I would
really?
like to go into a new direction.
So you really would like Aaron Rodgers back?
Yes.
Even after this season?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing I'm going to ask you really quickly, too, because you were talking about leadership, and I thought it was interesting because, yes, he's a veteran. Yes, he's a future Hall of Famer. But at times, you know, my personal opinion, this is a show, so we're going to talk about that. I felt like the hypocrisy was there when it comes to you're saying we need to cut down on the distractions, and then you also are a distraction.
Yeah.
Mandatory camp.
Yeah.
You know, a starting quarterback is usually there. You're in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? With the camels, visiting the pyramids. I mean, I've covered the NFL. I don't know if I've seen that before.
I've seen star players do outrageous things, maybe more outrageous than that. But I mean, you're right.
The quarterback,
you're
mandatory.
Right.
Yeah?
You're absolutely right. Okay. You're absolutely right. No excuses.
And it's not just that, but even with the play, you know, the ability to reset. Obviously, they have not such a great record. You're going to be drafting, you know, high up again. So you're sure. You're 100%. And you're not just saying that because he's listening.
I have a feeling if he leaves, Devontae's going to go with him. And I would love to keep Devontae Adams.
You would love to keep
I
Devontae.
would love to keep Devontae. That dude he personifies teammate, in my opinion. Like, whatever team he plays
I agree
for,
with that.
he's going all out, and he's in. All out and all in. So I love the guy, yes.
But what do you make of his decision to come? Because he, there were other teams that were interested in him. Could have been a Steeler, and he left the Raiders for greener pastures.
Yeah. I mean, he could have had his choice to go where he wanted to go. I think his sense of loyalty landed him with Aaron in a sense. I sit back and I observe the games like everybody else. Not exactly like you guys do, because you guys can pick it apart and things like that. And if I enjoy it, so be it. I stopped looking at the record after a while. You have to, as a New York Jet fan. And you just live in the moments of, Aaron, like this last game we just had, Devontae showed out. You know what I mean?
Yes, he did.
And of course, it was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, for all you naysayers. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have a pretty decent defense. I've used them a couple of times on my fantasy team, and they put up numbers for me, okay? Atlanta Falcons did too last night.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, you have to take all of that and say, what about next year? Like we always do as Jet fans. What is it going to look like next year? And if we can keep Aaron around, which I doubt, I have a feeling he's going to leave. And if he does leave, I hope wherever he lands at, they appreciate him as much as we did when he came. I want to keep Devontae. That is a nice 1-2 punch, and not taking anything away from the other receivers on our team, but we're talking standouts here. And Garrett has been standing out since day one. Now, he was our Rookie of the Year. And then you get Devontae in there, that vet juice going. Brees in the back. I keep mentioning Brees because it's such a great – we've always had running backs. I'm going to keep it a buck. We've always had running backs. And as far as wide receivers, we've been shaky dog in some places, but we've had Wesley. We've had Keyshawn. We've had Rob Moore. Do you remember Rob Moore?
No, actually.
He used to play for the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
Great receiver.
I am a little younger than you.
And that's right. True you are. Rob Moore was a Long Island-born kid, so when he came to the Jets, it was major for anybody that grew up in Hempstead that knows him. And he put up numbers for us and stuff, But yeah, you want those players.
I would say this, though. Because, and it's probably going to be a little controversial for people who are, whatever, Jets fans, NFL fans, but I personally, and this is nothing against Aaron Rodgers, I have all respect for him, obviously future Hall of Famer. I have to, talk honestly, objectively, obviously, too. But I did think that they should have gone to Tyrod Taylor. I still think Tyrod can play. I still think he has an arm. I think he's gone through many unfortunate circumstances at various stops where he's had untimely injuries, very freaky injuries as well, too.
They try to Jacoby Brissett him a lot, Jacoby is like the premier come off the bench and manage the game kind of quarterback. And Tyrod, you know what?
I feel like he has a little bit more dog in him, even though I very much respect to Jacoby.
He can play the game. He can definitely play the game.
And he has more mobility. So that's why I'm so surprised you're saying you want Aaron to come back, because I feel like, the injury is, somewhat apparent. Yeah. And I would also say I feel like, when it's like that the air is a little bit out of the balloon because it just didn't go the way it was supposed to. And it's like this weight of, it's not there. It didn't happen.
What did I get myself into?
Well, and it just didn't happen the way it did. And then he does have some energy with him in his personal life, although I'm not, going to get all into that.
But we're good with that as New Yorkers. We don't care about his personal life.
It's not that we care about it, but I'm talking about, I'm an energy person.
Yeah,
and I feel it on people or what have you, and that's all of us. And I feel like we bring that to, and I'm not saying he doesn't know how to compartmentalize, but he was going through some stuff with Green Bay. He was going through things personally. And it's hard to cancel out that energy, even when you think that you are. And then when something happens that's really bad or adverse on top of it, I think it's just difficult for anyone to sift through. That's, me personally.
As a human being.
As just a human being.
Yeah,
it's just something that I'm looking out for.
It's pretty unfortunate. Let's just put it that way.
It's unfortunate. Now, you guys are getting a new head coach. Your team has already started to interview some candidates. At general manager, Thomas Dimitroff is coming in there. I think John Robinson is scheduled to come through, their former Titans GM. Some other people are definitely, I think Louis Riddick, ESPN analyst, is supposed to get an interview, whatever. We won't go into all that. But is there anyone that you think that you're looking at head coach? Are you preferring offense, defense?
Like, I don't know any of these guys by name, but I am rooting for anyone black that can coach. I mean, because come on. I mean, you look at the Houston Texans coach. I love that guy.
D'Amico Ryans.
I love D'Amico, and he was a
D'Amico,
player.
yes.
So, when you have those player coaches, players respect them more because they've been in that grind,
Yes.
We don't want Belichick. He didn't want us. You remember that?
Well, I don't know that it was. Well,
He went and got a better deal, I'm guessing.
well, yeah, he's at my alma mater. He is at North Carolina. So
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice
We
for
will
Bill.
accept all of his championship rings to go with all of our championship banners to go with
Right
the
now-
lore of Michael Jordan and Vince Carter.
Yes.
Myself as a track runner. I just, who
Track, baby.
just underlining a few people that went to UNC.
Honestly, I don't care.
okay.
I don't freaking
Okay.
care.
Okay. However.
How just put the right people in the right place. I'm looking at you, Woody Johnson.
Oh, yes, I wanted to go back to that because you
Yes.
started off and you said that you felt like it started from the top.
Yes.
You kind of deviated from it a little bit. What do you actually mean by that?
I don't like, he's our owner.
However.
But owners don't always get it right. I commend him for spending the money on players that we should keep around.
Yes.
I commend him for bringing in Aaron Rodgers because the possibilities were so great. Woody, I don't know. It just
What's your concern?
my concern is that the inmates are running the asylum, and the emperor has no clothes. And that might sound harsh to some Jet fans who go down in flames with the team.
Yep.
No pun intended. But yeah, I
Some have said, not me, but some have had concern about him being potentially meddlesome, not necessarily letting
Absolutely.
people, the staff underneath him, do what they need to do, microman. These are things that are said in the, atmosphere, not necessarily me saying
he
that.
doesn't strike me as a person that isn't headstrong. As a person that wouldn't walk up in a meeting and whisper something to someone and change the whole dynamic of what the meeting was. He doesn't strike me as someone that wouldn't do that. I've never met Woody. Never met Woody. I've done things for the team.
Yes, you have.
From promos to league, having the team, saying the names of the team coming out on the field and things of that. Even the
Getting paid.
breakdown. That's bucket list stuff for me. Bucket list shit.
Yeah.
But I've never met Woody.
Okay.
That may it's not on my bucket list though.
Well,
It's
listen,
not.
I
don't
I
dislike the
understand.
guy.
Yes.
I don't dislike the guy. I just love the Jets that much more.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we'll see if he continues to, be at the helm in terms of ownership and major decisions and things like that. Before we switch gears into other things, I
Yeah.
do, because we were talking about this before the camera was rolling, as far as your Super Bowl picks. NFC,
Oh, this
who's
is
representing
tough.
the NFC?
This is
We got a
tough.
Texans fan behind the camera right now.
I get it.
and then
Y'all
who-
not going though. Y'all not
and,
going.
and from the AFC, so who do you have from the NFC?
Oh my God! So I'm looking at this thing here, and
Yeah.
it's tough because you got the Lions, you got the Vikes. The Vikes are putting up numbers. Don't sleep on these Packers either. These Packers are pretty
Oh,
tough.
Jordan Love,
I love the Packers right now, man. I love what Jordan Love is doing. But if I had to pick,
Yes, because you do.
yeah, I do.
Because you do.
The Eagles look really good, and do they look unstoppable though? No, they do not look unstoppable.
But they just had a strong victory against the Steelers.
They did, and I love Tomlin.
Everybody was
That's my
talking
guy.
about Hurts and A.J. Brown, and they looked like they was, brotherly love in the city of the Illidale.
I don't think the Lions are going to get it together in enough time to have a run. If they do, God bless them. I'll root for them.
Matt, what is your NFC? What is your NFC pick?
My NFC pick is
people are
the
waiting.
Eagles. Sorry,
The Eagles.
Eagles. Yes, I'm
The
going to go.
Eagles are. You're clocking it in. Okay.
clocking it in.
And for the AFC.
AFC, of course. You have to say. I want to say Chiefs, but I love the Bills more. Patrick Mahomes getting hurt now. You never know. He'll be back for the playoffs, though, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to say the Bills. The Bills look really, really strong.
Oh, so you think this is the time that Josh Allen and the
Yes.
Bills are going to bust through?
I think they are. Yes.
You ready for mine for right now? This is just commentary for what
I'm
it
ready.
is.
You gonna
So
crap on
you
my
and
stuff.
no. You and I are aligned for the NFC as far as the Philadelphia Eagles. They were obviously recently there. They did not win. I was at that game, very close. And I think sometimes when you just touch the hem of the garment of a potential Lombardi trophy, that now you have the experience to go back and really snatch it down. So that's what I think right now. But you and I differ on the AFC. I'm actually right now. I reserve, just like Booger McFarlane always says, I reserve the right to change my opinion.
Okay.
But I am going to go right now with the Steelers.
Ooh.
And let me tell you why. And I'm going to see if this changes. And we're going to change up here. The reason why I'm saying this is because they're led by Russell Wilson. This is a guy who's been there twice.
Yeah.
Won it once. And for all the Super Bowls that I've seen and attended, I've obviously been to many and covered them. The experience that you have having been there, once the playoffs start and everything resets, it matters. Now, I'm probably gonna look real dumb if they lose in the first round, and then you're gonna come back and be like, "Wasn't you saying?" And you sounded so eloquent, didn't you?
I'm gonna text you.
But
off top. Yes,
but as of right now. Russell Wilson, I think, is really reconjuring that magic. And somebody said something to me the other night. They said to me that they actually, with all the impact that Mike Tomlin is having, seemingly, on Russell Wilson, that they actually attribute a lot of it to his experience with Sean Payton, because Sean Payton pulled the collar and got him together, gathered him as the young player, gathered him, and the influence. This is just a coach who was saying this. I'm just, but they feel like all of that is just kind of coming together. You mix that with the doubt. People were saying he was done, he was washed, and all these things. And I think it's coming together. And then when you couple that doubt and that chip with the experience of having already been there, and the way that they're playing on both sides, assuming that T.J. Watt is gonna be healthy, defensively and all this other stuff. That's my.
He just got hurt though.
He
just got hurt.
Yeah, but that would be my pick for right now. So I want to transition here a little bit. Matt, some things have been happening in the news, and that includes some people that obviously you're familiar with in the hip hop world. Obviously, has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, what I think is very curious is, major headline was surrounding Jay-Z. There's allegations that a woman is making right now, saying that she was sexually assaulted by him when she was 13. And then recently, some inconsistencies came out in her story as well. And I'm just curious, what is your thought process when you see someone of that magnitude being targeted and then having the story kind of break down like that?
Anybody that pays attention to Jay-Z's character pretty much debunked that whole thing ahead of time when it first came out. We definitely, I did personally, gave him the benefit of the doubt. Now that this other stuff comes out with the inconsistencies in the story and things of that nature, you have to start looking at the people behind it.
You mean the lawyer?
Absolutely. Who's a Texas native, I believe.
Yes, he's actually,
people know him. They started, so people start blowing the whistle on this Busby guy. But then there are people who just don't like Jay for whatever reason, or just don't like black men in power or in a position of power like he is, that just want to believe the lie, or want to put him in that category because they don't like him. My thing is, we're all vulnerable to a certain extent. We will be held accountable for things that we do, but when we're held accountable for things we didn't do, even after they've been debunked, it's frustrating. And I hate to see this for someone as classy and demure as the Carters.
Demure.
And it just sucks because it's the actions of a few that affect the many. And I mean, as a black man in America, I definitely can identify with that wholeheartedly, because they think that we're all a monolith, especially when it comes to crime or crimes of passion. I hope this young lady can find the help that she needs. I hope that Jay can show grace in this moment, which I think he has. But also, I want people to take a deeper look at where they're getting their information from and start to question their moral code or where they stand at as far as the bigger picture goes.
Well, the lawyer did come out, pretty strong at first.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's making his statement, and so
Spectacular. That's how we live now. The headline always shines.
well,
It
the
leads, it
headline
bleeds.
it does always shine. I am curious what you also feel like as far as from a cultural standpoint,
Yeah.
the impact that it has on a culture, a community, whether you even want to say the black community, hip hop community, or
It's
what
black.
have you, when high profile men are targeted, and I'm not saying whether they deserve it or not or what have you, but you see people who represent the apex of achievement in the culture have these allegations and then get torn down, whether it be Jay-Z, whether it be Diddy, whether it be Bill Cosby, whether it be even people
Right.
in the political hemisphere from MLK to Malcolm X to what
Right.
have you.
Well,
When
some
that
of
when
them
that
niggas
drop
really
happens.
did that shit. Just,
Huh?
let's keep it a buck.
Well,
some of them
yeah,
niggas really
but-
did that shit.
and not necessarily even talking about whether it happened or not, but
Yeah,
just,
just
the
part.
fall,
Yeah.
the impact of the fall on the
Yes.
community is what I'm
People
saying.
love to see the train wreck, and I think reality TV brought a lot of that into play, But it's even bigger when it's someone that was revered as or put on this plateau as this super uber star, My thing is, I want to see it from the other angle. Like, the people making these accusations, when they're outed as being false or, they're
Inconsistent.
inconsistent and liars, why isn't the punishment as severe as the accusation? Because a lot of times people lose endorsements, they lose their children or have to go to school with this stigma on their head, things like that. And a lot of times people don't take that into consideration. Even the people commenting rude and crude things up underneath the post, they don't even take that into account.
I think to a degree it's up to the accused to pursue if it's defamation, if
Yeah.
someone's
Yeah.
liable, things like that. It's
For instance, the girl that came out with the lacrosse thing with the Duke thing, and she finally admitted, like, where's her penalty? Because some of those guys lost scholar. I mean, they could have played professional lacrosse or anything for that nature, or been hired by a Fortune 500 company later on, but they had this stigma of this accusation hanging over their heads. Not to mention the stigma of being black.
yeah,
So where is the
accountability.
the accountability, or even just, I want the
penalty, the
the
punishment.
penalty to match the accusation. If the accusation is false and this person lost this much, that other person should lose just as much, in my opinion.
Well, it's interesting because in Jay-Z's statement, he was alluding to the fact that obviously he's declaring his innocence. Don't listen to this. He mentioned the psychic, which, I think some of us have obviously heard this psychic who made some predictions. Sloan. I think you might be knowing who I'm talking about,
Yeah,
because
that
she
ain't
made
no-
some
that ain't
statements
no
that,
damn psychic.
seem to
That
be,
ain't no damn psychic, but
things
yeah.
that came to fruition with Diddy, and,
Yes.
also has some things that she's
It's
predicting
not,
with
but
the
you
Carters.
gotta understand, these are words that
And
are
I'm not saying I
being
believe it. I'm just
spoken.
saying I know
This
it's
is
out
stuff
there.
that's being spoken behind the scenes. Like, this is like folklore for the industry. This is stuff that has been being said for years.
Okay, but let's. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because there are things that get talked about in folklore, but you, as a representative of somebody in hip hop, can
Yeah.
probably acknowledge that there's some strange things that have happened out there in the world. With respect to unexplained deaths, when it comes to God rest her soul, Kim Porter.
Talk about
When it comes to whoever else is Brittany Murphy. When it comes to, I think her name is Kathy White, right? This lady that's attached to, potentially had a relationship, with. There was another lady who was connected to the hip hop world who wrote a book back in the day. She passed under dubious circumstances as well. Whether it's Aaliyah, whoever it is.
We could take circumstances and make them fit any kind of narrative we want. That's the kind of world.
However, I do
live
want
in.
to get this part in though.
Go ahead.
Some of them passed, and the deaths were ruled as pneumonia. Some of them had the same. With the coroner's now is passed. So there are some. I just want to say that there are some things that are curious that are out
Yeah.
there, and I just want to know what you think about that.
But I would like to think that people aren't like like we're not living in a horror movie, you know, like where these things can happen. I like to think that circumstances, sometimes things happen, and again, you have some people out there that will twist things to make it fit a twisted narrative, and then when it comes to fruition, not saying that the twisted narrative came to fruition, but the rumor that everyone's already hip to starts to come out in the open. It makes this person look like a genius when all they was somebody standing in the middle of the conversation of pass it on.
Mm-hmm.
All they did was pass it on, but they passed the wrong information and embellished to make it seem more than what it is. I'm not calling anybody a prophet. I'm not calling anybody a future
psychic,
any
Miss
of that.
Cleo.
We done went through
Although I
that
do
already
think Tyler
with Miss
Henry
Cleo.
does pretty
Okay,
well, you know. I think, but anyways,
a lot
I'm
of
gonna
it
look like I'm
is
psychic.
a lot of it is people believing what they want to believe because they don't like that person.
yeah, no,
Period.
and that's definitely a part of that.
Yeah.
I know you've experienced it in
I
your
have.
career.
I have.
I've experienced, you know,
I've done
we
some
can.
of that shit though.
Well, you,
I'm
yeah,
playing.
well, back in the day, back in the day. Although I've heard how you transitioned, especially
I've
after
transitioned pretty good.
your kids have come to,
Yeah.
you know, into this
My
world.
transition was pretty good.
I did want to obviously talk about Diddy because you know he has gone through the federal indictment, racketeering charges, sexual assault charges. Obviously, you know the allegations, you know, with Cassie and all that stuff that you know came into the headlines.
Pretty unfortunate for all of them.
Okay.
For all of them, pretty unfortunate for all of them. Everybody involved, and even the enablers involved. You know, I've always kept my circle small. Every time I didn't go to an after party, I felt like I was being safe, not just for me, but for my team. Nobody had to worry about me that night. The people that you have around you, if you're aware, if you're fully aware of what their reputations are, when you are in proximity with those people, better believe that their reputation is going to
Rub
bleed
off
off
on you.
on you because you're in proximity to them. But that's not necessarily always the case. I can't speak to Puffy's case. I can't speak to Puffy's character because I've never really hung out with Puffy. But I can say that to anybody that was victimized, I wish you nothing but healing from this point on. If Puff is guilty of the things they say he is, he will have his day in court, obviously. But this should not be a reflection of all black men in hip hop. Matter of fact, none of us really. I mean, like you said, we have to be held accountable for the things that we do. And right now, he's being held accountable. Not, I just don't dig the whole witch hunt, like where there's smoke, there's fire kind of energy going around right now, because it's not good. It's not good, and I feel like if you keep digging, there's going to be some bones coming out that people did not want to come out again, you know.
Especially when the laws change in New York,
Absolutely.
extending the statute of limitations that have now
yeah.
allowed people to go even further back when it comes
Yes.
to things that they allege happen.
And that even that is a slippery slope. I'm not going to take away from anybody's pain or their experience with pain. If that happened to you and you felt that way, it's warranted. Period. Leave it right there. But there are some opportunists, and there are people that see these things as loopholes to a bag. And I hate that. I hate that word so much. But they see these things and they're like, well, how can this work and benefit me? And even if it doesn't benefit me, I will tarnish someone's favorite, whatever the hell it is, their reputation from now till then, depending on what the accusation is. Oh, like I just, like I said, I have to stand on being held accountable for what you do, you know. And at the end of the day, that man has to deal with the legal system, not hip hop.
Did you really even rock with Diddy? I feel like I read something, and think about your answer too, because I feel like I read something where you potentially had an issue with some song he was doing, and
It was an album. He
yes,
did
and then
my
saying that
album.
Big would have never, been rocking
Oh
with those people. I
yeah,
think I read
yeah.
something like
I
that.
wasn't the only one that said that. I might have been the 10th person that said that. That
Okay,
Biggie
what
would
was
have
it again to
never.
clarify for the
It
people?
was the Born Again, I think, album that he did for Biggie, where
Mm-hmm.
he did all these collabos with all these different artists on the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I of course, when we were working on it, we didn't know who was going to be on it. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I was just happy to be there in that moment that I was asked to be on that record. They gave us 25K.
Okay, that helps.
I did not accept the check.
Oh,
I actually told them to give my check to CJ,
or
Biggie's son.
Josina.
Oh, Josie.
Next time you want to just dismiss 25K. But anyways, back to the issue you
Well,
had with
I
Puffy.
figured CJ could use it more than I could.
Okay.
He lost his dad.
Okay,
But
yes, for sure.
yeah, and then when you hear the album, the reviews came out, and not just the reviews, but people that knew Big was like, Big would have never did a song with that person or that person. I'm not gonna say names, but he would have never did collabos with certain artists and things like that. So yeah, people were a little bit upset. But again, Puffy being the businessman that he was, and knowing how this business works, he had to put that album out. He had to. It was the time, and everybody was still mourning the death of Tupac as well as Biggie, but it seemed like Tupac shit eclipsed Biggie's for some reason, But again, yeah, like I said, as far as friends, I've never been one of Puff's go-to guys. I couldn't say that I've never been one of the cool kids in the industry that got invited to the
Stop
brunches
it.
and the parties and
Okay.
things like. Never was. Bottom line, never was. You wouldn't find me in a Super Bowl party or anything like that, or after party for that matter. But as far as Puffy the person, every time I seen Puff, he moved like with purpose. Every time I see him, he's always moved with purpose. Again, unfortunate what he's going through right now, and if he did do these things they're saying he's doing, then he's going to get his just due. If he didn't, the people that are pointing the fingers as well as the enablers should get theirs as well.
Well, obviously, Diddy is dealing with, spirits of the past. And, everyone has their beliefs as to whether, you sow certain seeds and that energy rebounds back on you.
Yeah.
But, speaking of just dealing with adverse energy, and dealing with adversity, period. I know you've had conversations. I saw part of the interview that you did with Fat Joe where
Yeah.
you were opening up about, just dealing with depression, dealing with, the certain heavy points of life.
Yes.
And one of the things, though, I feel like I didn't really hear, and I wanted to get into this and also share myself with you as well, is what really was the root cause of the things that initiated those feelings of depression in you, professional, personal. What was it?
All of it stems from childhood. PTSD from childhood, and you don't really know what to call it when you're a child, or even when you get older. Even when we got older, we didn't exactly know what to call it. But it's a reflection of who we are today as adults. Being uncomfortable in crowded rooms, things of that nature. Maybe as a child, when you were in a crowd, maybe you walked into a room and you felt so uncomfortable, maybe you got teased that day. Who knows? But in your mind, I don't want to be in that room anymore. Lashing out at people because they say a hit dog a holler. Maybe you've been that hit dog too many times as a child, but you're not thinking about all this as you're going through it as an adult. Like, where does this anger come from?
Hit how?
Well, teased, belittled in front of crowds, family members having you the lowest on the totem pole, things of that nature. It comes from many different places. But my own personal shit was poverty and hanging around. Like, most of my friends, or all my friends, had more than what I had, in my opinion. So it was always me feeling inadequate or feeling like I couldn't keep up. Or I know my personality is what got me the friends, but it becomes, you start to get into the superficial things in life as you get older, which they shouldn't matter, but all your friends are into it as well. So, or so-called friends are into it as well. But when you get to a point where you can't keep up with them or that energy, I don't know. You just feel not good enough, and I think part of that contributes to the depression. Or it could just be a bad phone call, or you just feel like everyone depends on you at once and you just can't keep up. It's so many different forms. I could lose a fantasy football game and be depressed for the whole freaking day. I could have a bad workout, be depressed for the whole day.
Because I was really trying to listen to you and understand how the things that you're saying you went through in your childhood actually are manifesting itself in your adulthood, though. You know what I'm saying? As far as, because obviously people look at you, you're Method Man.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not saying that, but I'm just
I
obviously the
get it.
outside perspective. You're Method
get it.
Man. You are successful. You're talking about not fitting in crowds, but everybody looks at you. At least I know I do, as being cool. You look like that dude. You look like you have that vibe. You're obviously unique. Voice is unique. All these things.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about PTSD, I'm really, really trying to understand the depths of how that plays itself
Because it
out
resonated
now.
with you, probably. That
Well,
resonated
I
with
can
you because
share
you're
my stuff,
probably,
and I will.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you're going through or have
I
gone
have,
through.
for sure, absolutely.
And where does it exactly come from? You can't really put a finger on it, but you know it's there. You know what it feels like when it happens. And my thing is recognizing where the triggers are and where they started. Because that's where I would like to begin, right there. And it's like, well, where does that come from? Why am I uncomfortable in a room full of white people like this? Like, what happened there? Like, what happened in my life that said that's bad? And I
Is
haven't.
it from things that you saw? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously that's funny, right?
absolutely.
But are there? Is it from, to be serious? Is it from things that you saw happen in your community, in your childhood, that
Yes.
still register in terms of a distrustful feeling or
Or
a
feeling-
negativity that you associate, with
had a
things that you've
friend-
seen in the past?
I had a friend named John when I lived in the Bronx, and I remember we used to play every day, white boy. And we went to his grandmother and grandfather's house. They lived in the same building. And I remember leaving, and I was taking the trash out, and she accused me of banging on her door and stealing his toys. So for me, it's like, that's what white people are right there. So it kind of made me uncomfortable, not just around them, but around any old white people. I
Well,
always
at the
felt
very
like,
least, it's in the back of your
in
head.
the back of my head,
Yeah.
right. So as an adult, as we grow older, of course everybody's not going to treat you like that, but it's always back there. Not saying that's my case now, but you may walk into a room and be reminded of, they're thinking I might steal something, or I'm up to no good right now. Let me put all of my manners on just in case, which
Not
is
the
too
face.
much. Too much. I should be able to be myself in whatever situation or room that I'm in, but you cannot.
So I would say, for me, and I wonder if this is for you, because I know you're attaching it to things that have happened in the past, which
Yeah.
obviously I think, a lot of us have. But also when you're going through transitions, professionally too, even when you think about, trying to go from being a, icon in your own right in the music industry, and then, when that maybe tails off to a degree, how much of the feelings that you're talking about rested in the valley of trying to figure out how you were going to evolve and adapt?
Yes. And the way I did that was, well, I can't control these people around me. I can't control how I feel around, or how I feel when I'm around them. I can control me. I'm just going to work on myself, period. And time is a concept, but if people would just take the time out to, and I have to use the word again, reflect, and say, where is this shit coming from? And you would be surprised at the revelations you have, especially when you start. Where it started for me, and I'm going to keep it a buck, coaching, being coached for acting. And them basically asking me questions about my childhood and things like that, things that I never freaking thought of remember that happened, but I didn't remember them. They were so placed back here so much that, you suppress them. And to have this coach talk to me about certain things, and all we're trying to do is find like a substitute in a scene to get a real experience. That's it. But during that process, I'm starting to get these old emotions back from my childhood and my teenage years, and it's making me uncomfortable. That is the thing right there that I try to deal with, the uncomfortability, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes it does, but just by me even acknowledging it, the next time it comes around, I can deal with it a little bit better because I'm acknowledging it.
And I'm curious too what the worst of that for you looks like, and I want you to be honest about that. And before you do that, I'll share.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like
Okay.
that helps. One of the things that I'll say too is that I remember Oprah once said, obviously, the queen in the media industry, that one of the questions that she, at least used to or would often ask in interview is, tell me the worst thing that happened to you as a child, and then I can find out so much about you, right? And even beyond that, just to kind of move the timeline ahead, I know, for me, a big part of it is, transition career-wise, and feeling like things were taken from you unfairly, and obviously dealing with that again. Obviously, in my transition, from CBS, people see red bottoms and things like that, but I've lost money, I've lost homes, gone through, health things that have arise from stress.
Yes.
I am like the expert now at, stress-related ailments, that I'm so much more cognizant of, things internally, with my own body.
And yourself, absolutely.
And I can even remember times where people watch Fox on Sunday, they know, or excuse me, rather, CBS on Sunday, they know JB. A lot of people don't know that JB, James Brown, is also a minister. And the day I remember I, was finding out that wasn't going to continue on even with ESPN, James Brown, his wife, his daughter, they were on the phone with me, because when they tell you that, they tell you like in 2 minutes. You've been
Yeah,
a place
I already
in
know.
10.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
been a place 10 years, and they tell you in 2 minutes,
Gone.
and that's it. And when I tell you I was because that was the first time I'd gone through it like that. But when I tell you I was unzipped, unraveled, I mean, I was when I tell you I was tearing up for days and days and days and days and days. And JB sat with me on the phone, his daughter sat with me on the phone, his wife sat with me on the phone. They were just talking to me because I was going through that at the same time. At the time, I was losing my hair. I'd just gone through alopecia. I talked about this with Cam Newton a little bit. And I felt like, man, so many things happening at once. And when you can't even look at yourself in the mirror, comb your hair, you lost your job, you're losing your house, all these things are happening at once.
Man.
So for me, what that looks like is just endless tears. And I don't even know how I got myself out of that. Well, obviously God and a lot of prayer, but it took a lot of time.
Persevered.
And I just wanted for you to also, share, what has the worst of that looked for you?
Well, I mean, sheesh. So many things in my childhood, they're going to have to wait for the book. But I could tell you as far as my career, it's crazy because my rookie year, as far as a solo artist, I won a Grammy. I had a #1 single. I was hobnobbing with some of the biggest people in the world, but I was still me. Then some years later, you get these, let's say they brought in new people up at Def Jam with new agendas and these new artists. And then you find out that you're not part of the scheme of things anymore after being this top dog or feeling like top dog. Now you're knocked down a few pegs. And nobody tells you this, though. They'll still try and accommodate you in a way that makes you feel like you're a part of something, but it's just not the same as that guy's getting. So you see these people coming in and these people leaving, and you do make friends here and there, or people on their way in and people on their way out. I just saw that I didn't matter anymore up there. I was like, okay, well, let's talk to the people, see if I matter to the people. It didn't matter to the people either. Now that's a double whammy. So now you're thinking to yourself, well, what's my purpose here? I'm here to make music and shit. And it may not be the best music, or it may not be a lot of people's preferences, but I didn't get this far making whack shit. So what's going on? Then to go to these so-called friends that you made in the industry, and not even for a helping hand, just here, I have something to present here. And they're less than enthusiastic than they were the first time you walked in that door, way less. And you start to take account, you put that in your mental Rolodex. Then you have people who are on the way up shooting people on the way down. That makes it even worse. So that, and knowing that I still had more to contribute but nobody wanted to give me a chance to, is so fucking frustrating. You can't go around just punching people in the face for being fake, and you can't call them out.
Or being flaky, or not getting back
that's
to
the word we're
you,
looking.
can't
There we
keep
go.
their word.
Flaky.
I remember
not
Busta Rhymes
keeping-
said one of his biggest pet peeves is when people do not get back to him.
Yeah.
He finds it hella disrespectful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He called when Busta called. I answer the phone. I just, I'm
Give me
just
some
keeping
more.
it a buck, and it's reciprocated. That's why he can stand on that. But that there's no feeling like that in the world where people build you up and then knock you down so fast. It's kind of like the crate challenge. It's dope on the way up, you killing it. But then on the way down, it get a little shaky. Start getting a little shaky, and you either gonna bust your ass and get up, dust yourself off and try again, or you gonna bust your ass, break an arm, and say, I ain't never touching that again. For me, it was, they bugging. It ain't me. Y'all bugging.
Yeah.
I had to say that.
Yeah.
Even if they wasn't bugging and I was the one bugging, I had to look at it like, y'all bugging. Watch this next trick, because I know I'm not done.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I am not done. So if anything, that fight from the time I was a child to the time I was a grown man was still fucking there. That fire was still there. And I was like, okay, they didn't take that from me. I can still stand on that. And I ran with it. Ran with it. Now, the reason why I still go through these bouts of depression is because life gets in the way. It is what it is, And a lot of times it's not even my thing or it's something that has to do with me that'll bring it about. It could be my family, and it's mostly my family and friends.
Listen, I say that all the time. I'm always talking about when I'm in my home, I'm in my teva, my crib. Okay, when I'm in my place, in my sanctuary, I'm good.
Talk about it.
When you leave the home
Yeah.
and beyond, or some people because, whatever, but the frequencies that you have to deal with are the things that I feel like that game back in the day where you have to hit the hippopotamus and, you're trying to just avoid the landmines or the whatever.
Yeah.
This is what I feel like when I'm leaving the house and then I come back and I have to recenter, and it's like, what customer service, what this I'm gonna have to do, who's trying to do this, who's trying to bring me down, who's trying to put something in my, who's trying to take something away now, who's trying to deny this, and it's this and the psychology of that is so much. But speaking of you standing on something, because I've gotten a sense of, based on the way that you're talking, that you have a consciousness. It's not just about hip hop, but also about things in the political hemisphere.
Yeah.
And we know that we just went through a very interesting election result. But beyond just who was nominated for president, which is a separate topic, was the demographics of the people, the shift in American culture that changed the political landscape.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you, not only as a hip hop representative and all these other things that make you a multi-hyphenate, is when you look at people in your industry who, and also black men too, let's stay there for a second, who look like they've made a shift, politically, particularly those that look like us, those of our ilk and all these other things.
Yes.
How does that strike you, and what comes to your mind?
Well, you just picked a side, family. It's just like picking a side. I mean, shout out to Jasmine Crockett, who sent me, because I wasn't going to be home to vote. And I ran into her. I did a show in Atlanta, and she was there, and I kind of mentioned it, and she was like, "Oh no, we got to get you together, brother," and sent me an absentee ballot form so I can vote and send my shout out to her.
Yes.
Okay, with that being said,
And she's very sharp. Love that.
politics ain't for hip hop. Hip hop is the ones who point the finger at the politicians, because we're the people that deal with their policies from the bottom. Um, I've never really been political. I do vote. I absolutely do vote. I kind of don't throw my hat in the spaces that I don't fully understand. I just know the effects of certain policies and all the effects they will have, because you have to do your research now. I love to see my fellow hip hop artists endorsing, my fellow entertainers endorsing, especially if they know what they're getting into. I like to have someone be a spokesperson for me that knows what they're talking about.
And also fearlessly doing that, because you
Fearlessly,
obviously take
yes.
on some, backlash for that. And I know Michael Jordan used to famously say,
Yeah.
everybody on both sides of the aisle got green money, so I'm trying to, okay, yeah, but
But,
go ahead.
I mean,
Or something to that effect, yeah.
Yeah, all that shit stand out on black though.
Mm.
When it come up black, it's a whole different ball game.
Mm-hmm. So I guess what I'm getting at is, what do you, even if you're saying, because I kind of hear where you're going with it,
Yeah.
but I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you feel like you've witnessed that even within your own, friend zone within the industry? Have you seen like shifts with people that maybe you wouldn't think have, swayed a certain way? I don't
Not my
know, whether it
circle.
be 50 Wayne or who, and I'm not saying, whatever, but it could be anyone that's been outspoken or look like they've, over here, over there.
I've seen Beyonce speak at the DNC, and I've seen, this ain't no real comparison, but Amber Rose speak at the RNC, and they both spoke eloquently, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I can't picture myself anywhere near any of that, because it feels like picking a side. And the only side I'm on at the end of the day is mine. So I don't know. I have no idea, man.
Or I even got one for you. The side that I'm on is not necessarily, obviously we have cultural awareness, but I'm on the side of good people.
I love that.
I'm on the side of good, because not everyone that looks like you is good, and not everybody that doesn't look like you is
Is
bad.
bad.
But I am on the side of good people, authentic people, because I feel like, the percentage of that is
We can definitely go further with an
definite.
honest person than we can with a freaking liar. That's for sure.
Really quickly.
Yes.
Because you have obviously
These chairs
been
feel so good.
good.
by
I'm
the
so
way.
glad that you love them, because I
guys,
put a
if
lot
you
into
can make
it.
it to this
Yeah,
set.
matter of fact, you can go ahead and bring the balls in.
Bring
You
the
might as well
balls
just
in.
go ahead and elevate your feet while we're
Pause.
talking about this. But you've been betrothed for a long time,
Yes.
and I am curious for whether it's your friends that are still in the single game, or people who are single. What is your something that you would say, as I see something on my shoe here, to
Find
people?
you a someone. Anyone.
The secret of longevity, I guess, is what I'm asking. And shout out to your wife, Tamika.
Shout out to Meek Meek. The secret of longevity is self-care. Self-care, definitely. Self-awareness, and minding your business and drinking water. That is so important. I swear. Just the drinking water part, but the minding your business part, you will live such a long, prosperous, sucker-free, hassle-free life. Just minding your business. Period, man. Even us talking about
Keeping
the
certain things off social media.
there you go. Even us sitting here talking about the Puffy thing, right? It's like people are going to take excerpts from that and create their own narrative from it. So be it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, okay.
At
Me
the end
neither.
of the day, it is what it is, and these conversations have to be had. I just hope that when the conversations are had, they're had by people intelligent enough to know the ramifications of the things that can happen after the interview. The fingers that can be pointed, and just the egregious way people attack you for your opinion. Did I use egregious right? I'm glad I did.
Yes, you
I've
did.
been dying to use that word. And it's all, and you know what? And I'm cool with all of that.
Yeah.
This body that I'm in blocks all of that. It's like a repellent of all the BS that's out there right now. I love the way everyone is free to be themselves, whether they're a racist POS or a misogynistic POS, however you want to say it. I'm glad that people are coming to the forefront where they're saying, this is my true self, love me or leave me alone. I choose to leave you alone, period.
Oh, and speaking of that lyric, real quick, because I would be so remiss with you being here. Because I just wanted to do really quickly, and I'm going to stand up. I don't know if my audio is even going to, or maybe I'll just sit here.
Yeah.
But can we just do that? Nice swing morning dew.
Everybody want to be married.
Look at, can I get my Mary on?
You could get your
And
Mary.
it was plain to see you were my destiny. Come on. I need a to get. Okay, you keep now. You singing. I'm gonna stand up and get my Mary on. Here we go. Okay, here we go.
Yo, you know, shorty, I'm there for you anytime you need me. For real, girl, let's be in your world. Believe me, nothing make a man feel better than what down for whatever. There were a few things that's why for my lady. We can make war, make baby. Y'all ain't doing my sis like that. Hell no. Everybody always do the Mary dance wrong. First of all.
Wait, hold on. Let's do that. It will be okay. And that's real for the Come on.
All right, I'm gonna give you a fun fact where this dance comes from. This dance that y'all call the Mary dance, and Mary can attribute to this as being truth. It's called the basketball. We used to do this dance in the late 80s, early 90s. It's basically you playing basketball.
Oh.
So that's why her legs be doing this.
Okay.
Because she's dribbling between her legs.
Oh,
When
okay.
she does the kick out, that's like shooting a basket.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So see, now we got that concept.
That's where Mama Mary get it from, and I love when she do that dance. Sooner, boom, boom, doom, doom.
That's right.
Boom, boom, doom, doom, doom. Ding, ding,
here we go. And then you gotta kick it back.
Come on, man.
Not someone else. If I can
love myself enough to know, and it's time.
There you go.
Time to let go. Come on, y'all. Sang all I really want. And she is
to be happy.
Now she is.
And to find a love that's mine.
Yes, she did.
It will be so sweet.
Yeah, it is. Shout out to my sister Mary J. You already know. LaTanya. Salute, sis. Yes, you know.
Listen. I definitely appreciate you coming through. One thing I have to say to the people real quick before we tie this up is that when we were at Super Bowl, you were so gracious. Your people were so gracious to allow us to come to the Wu-Tang tour.
Yes.
We were behind the scenes. You brought me and my hairdresser behind the scenes. And one thing that you really did, I didn't even expect it. I'm just standing in the background. You got hella, important people in the room.
Yes.
Method took his time, and I wasn't even knowing he was going to do this, to stand in front of the crowd and say, you know what, hold up, everybody. I need to give props to my sis Joe over here. I just want to let you know that the community recognizes what you've been doing. You've been out here, whatever. I didn't expect you to say that, but I appreciate that you did do that. That stuck with me, especially with everything that I've also been going through.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you took your time to fly and come here and be on my show and represent and show that that means a lot to me.
Absolutely. Yes,
so
Lord.
just thank you so much for doing that.
No worries.
I have
and I can't
hella
wait to run
respect
into
for you.
Sister Pam Oliver as well.
There you go.
I can't wait to run into you, Pam
Oh,
Oliver.
and the legend that's
goat.
Pam Oliver and
goat.
everyone
Talk
that is
about it.
on her shoulders
Yes, Lord.
as well. We appreciate her, but we also appreciate you. Thank you for being real, honest, and taking the time.
Absolutely.
We have Method Man on the exhibit.
Yeah.
Reggae horn.
And Mike Wilbon. Me and your mom
Wilbon.
are born on the same day.
Oh, okay.
March
Double
2nd,
Amanda.
I believe. Your mom's a
Oh,
Pisces.
and shout out to Nala rolling up over to her.
Shout out to Nala.
There
Come
you
here,
go.
baby.
There you
She
go.
loves me.
Listen, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Salute.
Yeah. Just to punctuate Method Man's appearance on this show, that's what I said this show is going to be about. Being able to not only show people in the sports realm, but from all walks of life and have all different topics. Just to remind you real quick, you can find the website at www.theexhibitconcept.com. You can find us at YouTube at The Exhibit Concept. That is the handle. And make sure you support, make sure you subscribe, lean into new age media as we try to transition and evolve from legacy media as well. So seed into the independent ventures, and we appreciate your time. Until next time on the other side.